In this video, I'm going to show you how to put together an offer that people actually want to buy so you can stop shoveling offers that get you left on red, ignored, or even just laughed at when you reach out. Now, in this video, what we're going to see is one of my clients who works specifically with septic tank cleaners of all industries. I'm going to show you the exact questions he asks his prospects. I'm going to show you how he mapped out their answers, which then leads us to the third and final piece, how we create an actual map or a minimal viable product to then share with people to see if we are on the right track or not. Now, what I'm not going to cover in this video and what is extremely important, it is the number one most important aspect that I see agency owners fail, is that you have to niche down. If somebody's telling you that you don't have to niche down, you know, good for them. I'm not going to agree with them. I'm probably going to question their credentials 1000%. But in a post-COVID society where everybody went home and looked up how to make money online, everything is saturated. So you have to niche down so that way your messaging stands out and your fulfillment is much faster. Again, I'm not going to go in depth on it. I'll link a video that you can view and understand how to pick a niche and how important it is to niche down. But in this video, we're going to cover, again, the questions that to ask your prospect. We're going to cover how to map out your answers, and we're going to cover how to create a process map to identify offers that people want to buy. So let me go ahead and share my screen. First thing you're going to see, this is one of my students. Again, his name is Brian. I said here, what all did you ask them? So he says, let me even back up a little bit. He says, doing those interviews was awesome. I feel like a pro in that space now just by having done it. So he's essentially saying, hey, just by speaking to people in the space, I feel like I know a lot more and I can put together things that these people actually want to buy. And I said, hey, I already know the answer, right? I said, hey, what all did you ask them? Because I wanted to show that in this, just tell me what the biggest pain point is in running your business regarding any aspect of your business, any aspect, that's it. Then he just steered the conversation from there. So the prompt that I gave him was, when you speak to these people, what I recommend is say something like, hey, I'm just doing research. I'm not selling you anything, because they're going to expect you to be selling something as a cold caller. So he called, he said, hey, I'm not selling anything, just doing some research. Could you just tell me the biggest pain point in running your business? And then that was the only question I gave him. Now, the second prompt, once you ask that question, is you pull a Larry King. And so Larry King, if you don't know who he is, he passed away recently, but he was really known for doing these phenomenal interviews. And he said the secret to doing a good interview was coming in there with one question only, and then just letting the conversation go. So I told him, hey, you ask your one question. What's the biggest problem running your business? What's the biggest problem you have running your business? What's the biggest problem you face in your business? And then whatever they say, ask questions about their answers. Let the conversation flow naturally. So that's all he did. Now, the product or the output of him doing that was he put together this little sheet, right? And again, he spoke with multiple people, not just one person. And he says in his message, he says that some people he spoke with for a few minutes, some was half an hour, some was over an hour, one was almost 2 hours. And so here's what he found: the common positives, the common challenges, and then his objective observations, if you will. So that's all he did to map it out. Again, look how simple this is. He did this so well just by keeping it simple. So let's look at it. Common positives. Most of them say that they are busy with a good amount of work. Okay. Word of mouth marketing is commonly relied on to maintain or grow. So that's going to be important. Service, non-tank pumping is a massively growing segment. They can add 6 figures of revenue if they can grab that business. Newer septic systems require twice annual service. Smart owners will grow that part of their business. Okay. Some businesses are getting into concrete casting as an extension of what they do. And then turning septic into a subscription or recurring service for homeowners is the goal of many owners. So when we're creating something, we want to keep in mind these common positives. And a great book, if you want to read, I'm not going to give you an affiliate link. I'm not making any money off this, but Value Proposition Design is a phenomenal book that explains basically what I'm covering here, but in much, much more depth. Very actionable, very great book, but that's going to cover how to actually build offers that are really interesting. But again, what the book says and what I'm going to be doing right here with Brian is putting together an offer. And in putting together that offer, we need to both acknowledge what they want to achieve and acknowledge how to avoid the pain points that they are facing. So it's very important that we look at these, because this tells me, we should help our clients maximize word of mouth. We should help our clients get more services, the service segment. We should help our clients even push potential concrete casting. And then we should see if we can set all this up in a subscription recurring service, which I have a great idea for. Now let's look at our challenges. Okay. So access and cost of disposal. Brian gave me some details here, and I asked him, hey, can you go way more in depth? So he went super in depth here, and he basically says that it's really expensive and it's a time consuming process to dump what they pull from septic. He said it's not easy to keep in touch with customers. He mentioned here You can see here he says they complained about getting in touch with customers. They tried mailers. A common admission was that they wish they had a way to be more proactive and less reactive. Several owners mentioned that they had compiled large customer databases. One guy mentioned that he will reach out to them when he needs to drive business, but it's not consistent. This is telling me a lot of things here. One owner mentioned he has 800 service contracts. He's looking to grow that to 1,000 by end of year. He would love to have as many people as possible in an automated system. So this is what's interesting. When he's reaching out to them, and you're going to see here, he says not many of them know about SEO. He says here only a few of them mentioned reviews as something. This guy says operational overhead is a little high, being insurance. The problem is that the newer systems are more technical complex. So it's harder to find workers. Expenses are going up, and they don't have a way to systemically reach out to their people in an automated fashion. And we see there's obvious potential for upsells here. So all of this is painting a really clear picture. And let's then go look at some observations, because it's very important to understand that what somebody tells you and what is actually the case are not always the same thing. So somebody might tell you we're really good at this or we're really bad at that, and then you go to find out the case is not actually the case. So in his observations, he said that they don't have a good website. The website's old, poorly made, bad user experience, and SEO is lacking. Communication is non-existent. Many of them are using these outdated or really just, I call them predatory forms of advertising platforms. I've never seen anybody say Yellow Pages and Angie's List is changing my life. Sorry. Integrity and honesty seem to be core values that they share, so that would be going into their marketing assets. Usually they have a Facebook page but not kept up with, so social isn't going crazy. Many businesses are 1 to 2 pumping trucks. 4 to 5 trucks is considered a large business. Good to know. And this is good to know because a big mistake that people will make in the marketing space is they'll say things like, hey, we're looking for a septic tank business that's doing $30,000 a month. All you're doing when you say that is you're just saying, hey, we're looking for somebody who has money that you're willing to pay us. We're looking for somebody who can admit they have money so I can try to take some of it, right? Nobody wants to do that. When you phrase it like, hey, we're looking for businesses that have 2 to 3 trucks and want to get to 4 to 5, you are then talking about a symptom of high income without saying directly how much money do you have and give me some of it, right? So it's a really nice way to kind of figure out what their income is without directly asking them, right? And then they sometimes have business software to help with scheduling, but it may not be technical enough to fully utilize it. So they're having some issues with the tech side. Some are aware of software like ServiceTitan, which offers scheduling, routing, and marketing, but not using it. How do I compete against existing software? Phenomenal question. The industry can be very competitive. Post-COVID, many septic businesses have closed because of increased regulation. Good to know. And seems to be fairly recession-proof, as tanks always need to be cleaned regardless. The industry feels forgotten from technology and modernization. Very blue-collar, rough, redneck, I'm guessing non-tech savvy. Those are the best guys because they're extremely good at what they do, and they need somebody who is technical to come in and help them, but not take advantage of them. So this is a great market. So how do we put all of this together? So what I'm seeing is, let's kind of break these down, or not even break these down. Let's just summarize these. So common positives. Number one, we want to have something, and this is what you do. When I'm building an offer over here, when I'm building an offer, I want to have something that says, okay, cool. Number one, focus or plays, if I could spell, goodness, plays on word of mouth. So let's take that, put that here. Let's get another sticky note. And this is all I'm using is Miro, free account. You don't have to pay for anything like this. You can even do a Canva one. So let's go plays on word of mouth. Let's go automated outreach to notify of cleaning. That's what they meant by proactive versus reactive. So you don't want to go out there and you know, the whole tank is full and it's gross. You want to go out there and say, hey, you know, based on how many people you have in your location and your residence compared to the size of the tank, this is when we should come back out. So we want to have something that automatically reaches out to them. Let's do natural upsells to benefit the customer. You don't want an upsell to feel like a cash grab. So we want, if we're going to do that, we want to do that naturally. Biggest issue they had was lack of automated communication. And then we know it's pretty evergreen. So in an evergreen industry, we don't really need ads. And if they're saying that they're focused on integrity and honesty, a lot of people who say that, they have typically a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to ads. So let's say, you know, I would probably avoid ads go more organic with the solution, right? So these are kind of like the ways I'm just painting it out. And so what I'm doing is I'm getting together an idea of the way that things want to be. And from there, I can create some kind of an offer. And I'm just again, all he did was he messaged them, what's the biggest problem? Let the conversation flow. He didn't have any questions prompted. He wrote them down, common positives, common challenges, and then he looked at some of their websites and how they were getting marketing without speaking to them, just looking at their websites, just a little internet stalking without being too creepy. And now we're just mapping it out. So again, let's go here. So keeping in touch, past customer lists. So let's add that. Activating previous customers. And usually a previous customer is going to have a septic tank. So it's not exactly an easy thing to just remove a septic tank and replace all of your plumbing solutions. So it looks like these are pretty correlated, right? So let's see if there's anything else. Low reviews. So again, look, reviews, poor reviews. Check this out. Poor reviews. So now let's start coming up with solutions for these things. So poor reviews and plays on word of mouth are going to go together because word of mouth and reviews go together, right? And that's going to be more organic to focus on this. And again, if he had this over here, he said websites were pretty outdated, poor experience. So let's do right here. Let's just say bad website to keep it simple, okay? So we have all of these together telling us these most likely are going to be grouped together to some degree. Because again, they all play together, right? If you have your word of mouth plays on poor reviews, the reviews would be an organic way to kind of tie together, and then maybe a website. So this could be in our setup a little bit, right? Then we have another issue we're seeing, which is lack of automated communication, automated outreach to notify of cleaning coming in, natural upsells with offers that benefit the customer. So like the concrete casing or services, and then activating previous customers. So this kind of all ties in together as well in the sense of just communication and proactive outreach. And so you can see here, even the poor reviews might come into automated communication because that would automatically get the review from you. Now, some of the pain points that he mentioned that he wants to avoid, and we'll just do like an orange for that, might be, let's say, competition would be, jobber, service, Titan. So when you're making an offer, what you want to make sure you're doing to keep it as easy as possible for somebody to say yes to you is you don't want to fire anybody. You want to make sure that whatever you're doing, that you are not causing somebody to be out of a job. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to sell. So we want to basically have this be an add-on. We want to be able to add, let me make this a little bit thicker, 2 C's. We want to be able to add onto this service. We don't want to have to fire them. So we need to add on to this. So what this tells me is, now let's outline all the characteristics of something that would satisfy this, right? So what this tells me is we need automated communication focused on generating, let's even put generating reviews after, focused on giving clients a heads up when they have a cleaning coming up. Use maybe like a math formula for, I'd say, like number of residents and size of tank to estimate how soon you need to come out. And then let's go ahead and do something like 1. So that would be number 1. So automated communication, focus on giving clients a heads up when they have a cleaning. So that's going to be a big piece, a big piece of the offer. Let's go to another one. So this would be 2. I would need some kind of a simple, maybe 1 page website with probably not 1 page, maybe have a 1 page option and then maybe like a standard 5 page option. Maybe a simple 1 to 5 page website with localized SEO, and clear CTA with back-end follow-up automation. So basically, you fill out the form and you start replying to the client right away to capture that lead. Let's do another one. And again, all I'm doing is I'm just mapping out what he gathered from them. They told him this is what's going on, and now we're just mapping it out, right? This would be 3. Let's see, automated outreach. Okay, let's say use tags to segment customers who could benefit from certain upsells. Tag triggers email follow-up with benefits. So this could be like they leave the client's house. Once they leave the client's house, they can add a tag to the client, and then the customer basically gets an email saying, hey, we noticed, these are things that tech spoke with you about. These are things that might benefit, X, Y, and Z, having the, concrete casing, things of that nature. So number 1, hey, you come in, we're going to follow up with a cleaning. We're going to hit you up in 1 to 3 years, depending on the tank size and how many people you have in your home and traffic size. And you can even have a form that would just ask those questions, so you can put that together for each client. And then a simple 1 to 5 page website with localized SEO, using tags to upsell. Very, very nice, easy one that you can do when you have anybody who is relying on word of mouth. So anytime you have any blue collar you want to do for a review management campaign plus referrals. So, or I'll say referral campaign. So usually and I don't even know the septic tank space that well, but usually when you have any kind of a community, so these are people who live a certain way, act a certain way, they view things a certain way. So if you're dealing with somebody in a community, so you might be in the septic tank community, that sounds weird, but if you have a septic tank, odds are other people who do, or you are connected through people who maybe teach you about it, right? So the idea would be, hey, we're going to reach out to you, let you know when you have a cleaning coming up. Once we do that, we're going to hit you with a review request. With the review request, if you leave a positive feedback and we tag you as leaving a positive feedback, then we might also reach out and say, hey, since you had a good experience, do you know anybody else who might benefit from our services? So these are not this is not a crazy offer, but if we come back here, Brian has painted us a very nice picture of how we need to phrase it. So we can address the pain points or even agitate the pain points and then show how our solution comes into play. So we could say things like, listen, things are getting more expensive. It's not easy to keep in touch with customers. You don't want to be reactive. You don't want to be proactive. You're out here, right? He says a lot of these guys are, true blue collar guys, right? Red-blooded Americans, so to speak. They don't want to be doing the tech stuff. So, hey, what if we just built a system that did this for you? And then that allows you to say, hey, we're not doing ads. We're not doing Facebook ads. We're not doing Google marketing. All we're going to do is put a system in place that would allow you to collect feedback. It would allow you to notify people. Imagine instead of waiting 2 years for someone to say, hey, my septic tank's backed up, you could say, hey, in 1 year, 10 months, hey, by the way, based on our numbers, it may be time for us to come out and do an inspection. Do you want to go ahead and book a call? And then you can follow up with them every week until they do, or you can just do maybe like 2 or 3 follow-ups and then an internal notification to book a call, right? And so this would be my starting point. And then again, we're not going to forget Jobber Service Titan. If you're using a software like GHL, which I know Brian is using, I'm going to plug in these things. So what I can do is I can say the minute that a lead becomes a client, whether it's from the referral campaign or the GBP or the website. So I'll put in over here, let's do a, well, no, we'll keep it green. Right here, we can say 5, and I'll put optional. The second someone closes, move them from GHL to, let's say, niche specific CRM. So now what Brian could do in his offer is he can explain, hey, when you work with us, you don't have to fire anybody, you don't have to get rid of any software. If you guys love Jobber, that's cool, because what we do is we just handle the prospect to lead stage, and then from there we can plug into Jobber. And so any one of these tasks over here that may correspond to something that Jobber offers or Service Titan offers or Housecaller Pro offers, anything that overlaps, you can just pick which software do I want to do it in. Very easy. And then this would be the main offer, right? So the main offer we're seeing would be the website right here. It would be this automated communication focused on giving clients a heads up. So the automated follow-up campaign to make sure that their tank stays clean. It would be a review management campaign to also get more referrals, automated via SMS or email or both. Tags for automatic follow-ups and upsells. And then of course, adding it in here. Now, this would be like the main offer. Hey, we'll put this together. You could even throw in a little SEO because he mentioned that's more organic. So we could even, let's go ahead and throw in some SEO, because SEO might correspond a little bit to the Google business. Well, it does correlate to the Google business profile. I'm not asking, but I'm saying from their perspective, it would definitely correlate. So we could say 6. You could say monthly SEO. Say monthly SEO dash localized on top of review campaign. So just to increase some rankings, right? Now this would be a nice little initial offer, right? Now what I like to do is I'd like to say, okay, this is the main offer. So the main offer is the client comes in, they get the automated communication, the tags, a simple website, review automation, the referral campaign. You can integrate it with Jobber. And then what that would mean is he would have basically one of 2 snapshots. So snapshot 1 would be without Jobber. Snapshot 2 would be plugging into Jobber, plugging into ServiceTitan, right? And then he would just need an SOP on that. So basically he would have 2 main products. He could standardize both of them. Very simple, very clean offer, very easy. Now what we want is we want a little teaser offer. We want a little, micro offer, mini offer. And what this does is basically says, hey, I don't know you, you don't know me. What if we work together in a limited time capacity to see if this is a good fit for us? So the mini offer, and we can come back here, they've already outlined it for us, is, let's see, maybe it was right here, I think, where he said people have a list where they can basically reach out to people. Right there, right here, large customer databases. So if they have a database, let's just do a mini offer. It'd be a DBR for septic tank cleaning for his clients. And then this would also plus review management plus referral campaign. And this could be very simple, a one-time offer at, let's say, I'm not too familiar with how much septic tank cleanings are, but you could easily come in and pitch this at, like, let's say $697. And then they could either continue paying $697 a month to get the rest of this, or, so you could do it 2 ways. With mini offer, you can either do a limited time trial, or you could do a smaller version of the bigger offer. So he could either say, let's say he wants to give the whole thing away. He could do a limited time trial of, let's say $697 and keep paying, if you like it. Or he could say one-time offer at, let's say $397, or even he could go as low as $297 plus, let's say 10% rev share. And the reason I like doing this is because sometimes people will say, well, I could just do the $697 out of pocket. And this could be, by the way, this could be $897, it could be $997. It does not matter. The number is basically, I have a training on that, but the number doesn't matter too much. But what I want you to really focus on is you could do it a one-time offer as a limited time trial, or you could say, hey, it's $297 a month plus 10% revenue share. So then if they're like, well, I don't want to spend that much money up front, but I have a good list, you can let them pick which one, because $897 is decent for a one-time setup, or $297 is really nice, low risk for them, but you make a lot on the back end. And so sometimes people might say, well, this is from Chris Doe, right? He'll say, well, I'm worried that if I do a 10% rev share that you're gonna make a lot of money. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, then you could pay the $897. It's like, well, I can't afford that. Okay, well, you can't afford that. So here's how I can make this work for both of us, right? And so there's 2 different ways you can do the mini offer. And this is essentially how we mapped it out. And so you see, it didn't take that long. You were able to see very quickly how simple it is to just reach out. You just hop on Google Business Profile. Check this out. We're going to go, septic tank cleaning, let's say Houston. And you're just calling to speak to people. Call, speak. Look at their website, and that's what he did. From there, he sent it over to me, and I just mapped it out. I mapped out all the things they like and don't like. I grouped them together, and I mapped out the potential thing that might slow him down. And then I just created things in direct response. And if you're thinking, well, this looks really simple. It is really simple. Usually what you will see is that the offer is not the or not the offer so much as the fulfillment. Like what you actually do is usually not what is so difficult in terms of like creation or requirements for you to be creative in any aspect whatsoever. It's more so challenging to figure out, how do I communicate this value in a way that the buyer will resonate with and that the buyer wants. And so what we've done here, this is called problem solution fit. We've said, here's a problem, let's look at all the feedback they've said, and let's map out on paper what works. So now what Brian would do is he would then take this offer and he would go and test it. He would make a minimum viable product, which is basically what is the smallest thing I can make, or the least time consuming thing that I can make, that I can then go and show people that might get me a sale. So whether that's a loose or a very slim or loose or lean snapshot, whether that's just a presentation saying, hey, here are the problems that you don't like, here's who I am, this is what we do, this is how much it costs, and this is how you can get a return on your investment. If you want to work with me, here's an even smaller micro offer, right? So again, it's up to him how he goes out and tests this, but the way that we put it together is exactly what we covered in this video. So now it's a matter of, will the people actually respond well to this? Whatever they like, keep. Whatever they don't like, change and adapt. And the biggest piece is, once you've put this together, you have to understand that you're going to go through iterations of testing. That's what value proposition covers. They say you can go through up to 8 times of just recrafting your offer. But it all hinges on the focal point of the customer. Who are you working with? Who do you want to sell to? Who are you providing this asset to? And understanding that when they give you constructive criticism and feedback, it's actually not hurting your feelings. They're literally telling you, hey, if you change this and that, I will pay you more money. If you change this or that, I will keep paying you money. If you change this or that, you will get more people paying you more money. So taking that feedback is really, really important. And from there, this gives you enough to land your first client. This tells you, I understand what you want. I've made something in response to what you want. And now using this, you can get your first client. Now, once you get that first client, the important piece is, for Brian specifically, and hopefully for you as well, is now that you have that first client, you've done what you need to do, you understand their pain points, work with them to build something really, really nice. As you're doing that, especially if you're using a software like High Level or any software that allows you to standardize your solution, as you're doing that, document everything, how you do every single task, document every single thing, create your SOPs, create all of your digital assets, create your marketing assets, create your snapshot, create everything. Document everything. I can't say it enough. Document everything. Then when your next client comes on board, now you understand the industry better and you're already 50% of the way done, because you're just recycling the snapshot, and every additional client will get you that much closer to building out a finalized product. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions at all, let me know below. I'll try to answer all of them. But this is essentially the way that you build offers that people want to actually buy. And if you take nothing from this video, take this. The way that you understand what people want to buy is by talking to them. You have to talk to them. You can't go to ChatGPT. You can't go to Quora. You can't go back in time and hit up Ask Jeeves. You have to actually talk to them. When you do that, you'll be surprised how much they share with you. Hope it helps, and I'll see you in the next video.